Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, an authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. The stories today, people. Casemiro wants to see out the rest of his contract. How do we feel about that? Quenda's future in the balance. Pogba, still an option with the struggles we have currently in midfield. And Joshua Zirkzee's new role, I definitely want to touch on. And it looks like he's starting to adapt now. So they're the four things mainly that we're going to discuss. There are a few other kind of little tidbits, but the main focus for today, the main story, should I say, is Casemiro. This news around saying that he wants to stay at United, basically. And he's saying, I respect Manchester United. I'm grateful. I have a year and a half left on my contract, and I'd like to fulfill it here in Manchester. I'm comfortable here. I'm happy, and so is my family. They've adapted. We speak English. Looking at my career individually, my best season as a professional footballer was the first with Manchester United. I'm not saying collectively in terms of titles, because obviously Madrid and the Champions League is ultimate. But as a player, I think Old Trafford saw the best version of Casemiro in my first year. Now, I absolutely do not disagree with that statement, first and foremost. That first year with Casemiro, he was incredible. And I think there was a lot of United fans who kind of jumped the gun a little bit and was like, old, what's age? Age is just a number, blah, 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 this kind of things. Me being one of them, I'm sure some of you guys who are watching right now was one of them as well, and was really, really happy with it. But in reality, and there was a lot of people calling it a time in isolation, the deal, £300,000 a week for a 30-year-old is just fucking nuts, and it's absolutely crazy. Plus the 60, 70 million, whatever it was that we paid for him on top of that as well. It's just a mad deal. And a lot of the times, I don't know why this never kind of sank, but it was like, why have we managed to sign Casemiro? You know, he's a winner. He's won 5 Champions Leagues. He's been in a Madrid team that's been incredible. How have we managed to do this? And money talks a lot in football. Money talks. And maybe you could kind of use that same sentiment with why he wants to stay at Manchester United. You can't really blame him, can you? You know? Do you want to be forced out? And I mean, from a professional football perspective, you could say you should want more, you should want to continue, you should want to play. That side of it, I get, right? From a business side of things, which is, you know, equally as important to some of these players, he's looking at it saying, I'm on £350,000 a week at United. I could stay here for another season and a half. I'm happy, as he's touching on there. He's saying his family's happy. They've settled in Manchester. I don't want to ruffle any feathers. That side of it, I absolutely get. From a footballing point of view, we need to move him on. 100% we need to move him on. I'm just stating the obvious. Everyone already knows this. I was kind of hoping it would happen in the summer, because if you look at the clear out that could potentially happen, you're moving on players' wages, for example, like Christian Eriksen, Victor Lindelof, Casemiro, Anthony, Rashford, these guys. I mean, you're saving like nearly £1 million in wages if you manage to shift those players. Now, obviously, you have to bring players in, but an example of that I would use at the minute is Patrick Dorgu, right? Had a relatively decent game against Spurs. Looks like a future prospect. He's on about 40k a week, and we signed him for £25 million, all right? So Ineos are going to be looking to do more of these kind of signings. You can make a shitload of them if you do move on players like this, because the wage structure just opens up so much. And then when you go into detail about amortization and these kind of things, it significantly helps that gap in the market for us. So if Casemiro is choosing to stay for another year and a half, which if he wants to do that, he can. He's got a contract. So even if he might get pushed into the under 21s, reserves, he can stay as long as he wants, unless he terminates his contract, in which case it would cost Ineos a lot of money as well. So it's unfortunate, but I understand both sides of the story. I think with Casemiro, like he said, yeah, the first season, I think he was really, really good. I thought I was so impressed with him. Lisandro Martinez as well. Equally, both of them players, I was like, wow, we finally got some leaders in, someone who's got a bit of bite about him, that South American kind of spirit. And it's just crazy to see the decline to like, even now, his timing on the ball. And to be honest, I question, like, maybe he could go to somewhere else in a bit more of a pragmatic system, and maybe he'd still be a decent player for him. And maybe, a team like a Roma or something, let's say, for example, you saw Nemanja Matic go over there and they got a bit out of him, a bit more juice out of the orange. Maybe in that case, you could see that. But in the Premier League, with the intensity and the athleticism that's involved in the Premier League right now, you look at any team's midfield, they're running rings around him. Sarr, Basuma, Tyler Adams for Bournemouth, let's call it, for example, and Fraser, and these kind of run rings around him. And Casemiro's a high caliber player. He's done a lot more in his career than a lot of these players I'm talking about. But systematically, the athletic side of him has just gone on it. And the one thing that really annoys me about Casemiro, he feels like he's got more time on the ball. And that's been something Maybe he didn't notice as much at first because he was more switched on and he was more with it in his first season. But right now, go and watch that Tottenham game. The amount of times where he gets past the ball and it takes 3, 4, 5 seconds, and then someone will just pick his pocket, pinch it off him, go back up the pitch, and he's too slow to catch up to him. So his career, in my opinion, there won't be no revitalisation of Casemiro in this Ruben Amorim system. He needs athletic midfielders, 2 of them in that 8 position, because just look at Bruno and Casemiro and they just don't suit it at all. So we obviously need to move him on. I hope we bring in a midfielder in the summer. I know we've already got Ugarte, but I'd like to bring in an Edison from an Atalanta or Rangers from AC Milan. However realistic they are, you desperately need someone in there who could be a bit of a box-to-box, can be a jack of all trades, but a high level at that as well. So yeah, I'm a little bit devastated about that. I thought we might be able to shift Casemiro on in the summer, whether that was Saudi Arabia or MLS or somewhere, but I guess he wants to stay. So that's another, add that to the pile of problems that we've already got at Manchester United. Now, we're going to speak about incomings rather than outgoings, or non-outgoings, should I say. Manchester United are progressing in talks to try reach a pre-agreement to sign Geovany Quenda ahead of the summer. United feel the player is worth around £33 million, while Sporting want closer to £50 million. Quenda is certainly keen on joining Manchester United. So obviously, probably wants to work with the coach, right? He can't move until the summer anyway because of Brexit laws, I think, because he's under 18. So that's why, obviously, I don't think they would have signed him in the summer anyway, to be fair, but in January. But those rules are in place, whatever you think about it. Quenda is someone you've seen instantly with Dorgu, just a more natural fitted player for that system. He's worked under Amorim before. He knows exactly how he coaches. He's a very talented player. He's good going forward, very direct. And this would be another one who you talk about getting the right people in the right places. He is one. Now, price-wise, I've seen a million different things with this. When we first initially got linked with him, there was like, oh, he's got an £80 million release clause or something. It was like, well, we're not going to fucking pay that, are we? So, and then it's like, we had something come out where it's like, oh, actually, we might be able to get for £30 million. Now, Sporting are pushing back a little bit, saying, nah, we want 50. Ultimately, I think we will sign this player. How much we end up paying for him? Probably somewhere in between. Probably £40 million, I would say, which is probably fair. You pay a lot for potential nowadays, don't you? Just look at the market in any deal recently. You pay a lot of money. It is what it is, because a lot more clubs now are going more down the route of buying the next Galacticos or the next superstars rather than buying ready-made ones right now. Real Madrid started doing it. PSG have started doing it as well. Loads of teams are following suit, and likewise with Ineos, right? So it's like, well, you pay a little bit more now, but one, you still have a sell-on thing. So obviously, if he does well at United and you want to sell him when he's 24, let's say, when he's like a premium player, then you're going to get 80 to 100 million. So whichever way you look at it, your investment is going to almost double. Which I understand that, I get it. The market is a little bit crazy in ways, but he is someone I would earmark as definite for the summer. Definitely go and buy him. If you've got Dorgu and Quenda playing on the wings more frequently, the team will change a lot. Likewise, if you bring in a really good striker, who that's going to be, there's talks of Osman. Gyökeres is doubts now, apparently. So why would you then go and sign Gyökeres? Why would you then go and sign Osman when it's the exact same price and age almost as Gyökeres? That makes no sense. So I don't see us signing any of them. But hopefully we bring in maybe a Sesko, for example, something like that. Then with midfielder, as I already touched on, that we probably need a centre-back or two, potentially, with others leaving. So, yeah, there's big investment needed in the summer, but I think the first top 3 you should start with. Quenda is one of them, a striker is another, and a midfielder as well. I think we desperately need. But, yeah, we're not even near the summer window yet. We've got much more problems ahead of us, and that does start with the midfield, to be fair, people, because that Bruno Casemiro performance was one of the worst. I don't know if you can't really call it a double pivot, but just 2 midfielders, like, in terms of no balance is the best way. I was trying to think of other avenues you can go down, but there was just no balance at all, was there, in the middle of the park? It was just so like that and disjointed and no running power whatsoever. And this is where the next story comes into it. So Manchester United, apparently, according to Rich Fay on X, Manchester United could offer Paul Pogba a short-term contract on strict terms. He is desperate to get back to action. And I want to ask you guys, I know we've spoken about it a couple of times before, but should Manchester United re-sign Paul Pogba on a short-term contract? I don't know how it would work because obviously he's not at a club. So if he is a free agent, can you sign them at any point during the summer? In which case, at any point during the season, should I say, you could just bring him in, start training, and he can play, or do you have to register him in January? I don't know how those kind of specifics would work, right? But Mainoo's going to be out for another 6 weeks, let's say, okay? Ugate's injured. We don't know how long he's out for. It could be a couple of games, could be a couple of weeks. We just don't know at the minute. Collier's also out as well, the understudy to Ugarte. So we've got Casemiro, Bruno, Eriksson. You could play there. Now, I'm not saying it would be a lot more balanced bringing Paul Pogba in, but a body in there for 4 months, if he's desperate to play football, I know that it'd be going against the thing, but I don't think it'd be the worst idea in the world. Genuinely. And you talk about his long-range passing as well and unlocking, for Rasmus, let's say, for example, into the channels. I'd be all for it. He's obviously more physical. I'd imagine he could probably get about the pitch quicker than a Casemiro. There'll still be things there where you're like, oh, I don't know if he'll be suited to that. But I just think, why not bring him in for 4 months? What's the worst that can happen? We're already, what will be 16th in the league, something like that, 15th, 16th. The season's written off anyway. Take a chance. That's what I'm saying. I'm going bold. I'm saying take a chance, absolutely. Because the way this squad is constructed, you've got deficiencies everywhere. So I think just bringing in Paul Pogba would at least help release that pressure on some of them, personally, is what I feel. Because what we're doing is, the team at the minute, we're chopping and changing, we're trying players at different places. Bruno in centre mid, Bruno in the attacking areas, Zirkzee up top, Zirkzee more as the inside 10 now, Dalot at left wing back, Dalot at right centre back, Dalot at right wing back, Mazraoui left, right and centre everywhere, Euro on one side, Euro on the other. Not Maguire because he's always central, but De Ligt can chop and change as well. And I understand his rotation and players don't always play the same position, but we need to start forming some consistency here. And again, this is where I'm kind of segueing myself perfectly here because this is where the next story comes in. So Joshua Zirkzee had an interesting performance, didn't he, against Spurs the other day? I thought his first touch, close control, dribbling was really good. His vision at times was great as well. It looks like he's starting to climatise to life at Manchester United and he's starting to adapt. Amorim spoke about him after the game. He said, I think Zirkzee is not a clear number 9. He's played more as a 10 attacking midfielder. He's stronger physically. He's thinner. He's working really hard and he plays in a better position for him. He's improving. He's winning more duels and he's even faster. You feel that in the game and that helps to make the decision. I think you can see that a mile off yesterday. One of the concerns that quite a lot of the people I look up to in the analytical space with Zirkzee when he's coming in, he was like, they don't think he's going to fit the pace of the Premier League and the physicality. He's going to struggle to adapt. But it looks like he's adapting slowly. He's shrugging people off, pushing them. He's getting like 3 people at a time yesterday. And in the Arsenal game, doing Saliba and Gabriel and these guys. So if you can do that and cause... the thing is with Zirkzee, he just draws people towards him. So when you have a player who can do that, space opens up. Firmino was amazing at it for Liverpool, which is why Salah and Mane got so much joy. So if you have someone of that profile, no, he's not going to score you 20, 25 goals. But if you bring someone else in who's a killer alongside him, who will carry that burden, then that balance becomes a lot better then, doesn't it, I like how he's adapting. I think he does look better. I think despite him, our scoring record at the minute is shocking. But Zirkzee still got, 3-4 goals, I think, at the moment, which is obviously still not near good enough, but in comparison to, Rasmus has been at the club for a season longer, and he's got 2 goals, and he's more of an out-and-out striker. So I actually don't mind his performances at the moment. I still want more from him, for sure. I still want him to execute those passes, those kind of through balls a lot better, and on a more consistent basis. But I think he's adapting, and I like him at the minute. And if you look at the most Premier League goals this season by United players who are fit and still at the club, Bruno Fernandes, 5, Zirkzee and Garnacho both got 3. Rasmus, this is just Premier League, by the way, Rasmus has got 2. So the lack of goal scoring is a huge, huge issue. And this feeds into the stat that Sky Sports put on the screen yesterday. Look at those games. Since Amorim's come in, the draw at Ipswich, we've only beat Everton, City, Southampton and Fulham. And if you think about those games, the Southampton one, we was losing that basically till the 80th minute until Ahmad decided to just turn on the heat and score a hat-trick. The Fulham game was absolutely awful and could have gone either way, and we literally just scraped it. The City game, we was losing up until the 80th minute. The only convincing win that we've had is Everton. And then you look at the goals that we've conceded in that time, 3, 8, 6, 9, 10. You know, it's like you're talking like 20 goals almost. The form is absolutely horrendous at the minute. Shocking. You know, obviously a lot of people are still backing the manager, as they should. They understand the concept of, you know, he's come in mid-season, you're basically doing a pre-season, you're trying to change the whole structure with a bag of players that just none of them really are ideally suited to how Amorim wants to play, right? But it's like, so what should he do now? Should he just go, all right, no, forget my system. Let's just go back to a traditional 4-3-3. Garnacho, you back out on the wings. Rasmus, you 10. Bruno, you push up as a 10. We'll have 2 pivots. You know what I mean? Like, you don't do that, because if you have a philosophy that you believe in, that you think that that is proven to be successful, you know, whether it's in how well they've done in the Champions League, or obviously they've won league titles doing it as well, it's proven to be successful. Maybe he does have to make a few adaptations and a few tweaks. I don't know how he does that, because I don't have my UEFA B licenses. I'm not a tactical coach by any stretch of the imagination, but you just know as a fan watching it, something has to change. Something. I don't know what. I don't know how you get... Again, it's about squeezing that juice in it. How do you get the most juice out of this fucking shit orange, basically? And we're still not doing that at the minute. Maybe you've seen things now. I spoke about Zirkzee then coming in. You know, look at him in a 10 now. He's a little bit better there. Okay, let's start getting him some more consistent minutes there. Mainu look better there as well. So, you know, he's starting to find positions for players. Dorgu looks like he's starting a little bit more. You will start getting a few more positives, but the goals are the most important thing in football, period. If you don't have goal scorers, you will not win games. You could play amazingly well. You could be defensively incredible, but you'll still end up like a Sean Dyche team. Look at Everton. You might get a lot of draws. You ain't going to score any goals. You know? Now, funnily enough, Everton are actually scoring a lot under David Moyes. But that's because he changed, he tweaked a couple of things from Sean Dyche, give them confidence going forward, and now they're scoring. But these players at the minute, I just don't see where it's coming from. You look at the chances that Garnacho had against Spurs yesterday, the ones that he didn't take, you're like, fucking hell, what can a coach do? He's putting them in positions to score, and they're missing them. And this was a theme under Ten Hag. Ten Hag had the same problem. He was kept getting into goal-scoring opportunities, and he was missing them. We do not have a ruthless striker, and that is where we wrap this show up, people. That whatever avenue you want to go down with the problems at Manchester United, it comes down to not having a seasoned scorer. It really, really does. Because you put Harry Kane in Garnacho's position yesterday, we probably win that game. Fine margins in football. I'm not saying go and buy Harry Kane, but you need to buy a striker who's capable of scoring a lot of goals. Why does, you know, Villa have Watkins? Why does City have Haaland? Why does Newcastle have Isaac? Everyone's talking about Arsenal not having... They're a much more progressed team than us, but they've not got a striker. And that's the difference sometimes. We need a striker. I'm not saying it would propel us into the top 4, but honestly, I think we would probably be mid-table or pushing into the top half with a top-level striker. Genuinely believe that. So yeah, I mean, I've pushed this narrative for ages. I've been talking about it for so long that we desperately need one. So I'm just praying that they sign one. But from now until the summer, we can't do anything. Can't do anything. So strap yourselves in, people. It is going to be the bumpiest rides until the end. I know a lot of people kind of put it to the back of their minds and are like, the season is done. But we've still got an FA Cup, we've still got a Europa League, and we was playing shit under Ten Hag, don't forget, and we still won an FA Cup. So God knows what's going to happen. I suppose we just have to sit here and try drag it out a little bit. Not try drag it out, it's going to drag itself out, but just try and endure it as much as we can. I know it's going to be painful, but That's life as a United fan, unfortunately, at the minute. I sat there thinking the other day, I was like, imagine growing up in this period. Imagine if you're, a 10-year-old kid now and you've only known Manchester United since 2015. Oh, you have no idea. I was born in 95, so luckily I remember very well Moscow, for example. I was alive when 99 happened, so you've got those memories and you've got that in the back of your mind, like how great we was. Now we're one of the worst teams in the Premier League. That's not even like me being sensational, or we're one of the worst teams in the Premier League, genuinely. It must absolutely tear Sir Alex Ferguson apart looking at this now thinking, wow, how the mighty have fallen, eh? Happy Monday, people. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one.